Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mountain Lake Journal. I'm Tom Howick. This week, New York Governor Kathy Hochul came to the Adirondacks to tout the millions of dollars she's included in her 2025 budget for the North Country, including another $82 million for Olympic venues in Lake Placid, like Mount Van Hoevenberg and Whiteface Mountain, in hopes of keeping Lake Placid as a destination for world-class winter sports competitions and recreation, and to possibly host another Winter Olympics.
I believe that someday we can even bring the Winter Olympics back to Lake Placid. And we have to start preparing. We prepare for that moment and everything in between. So for that, we're spending $82 million this year in new capital funding for ORDA. New upgrades to our ski resorts, including Whiteface and venues and facilities. We're going to keep making those investments to make sure that people know that the North Country is the most desirable winter sports destination in the entire world.
While at Mount Van Hoevenberg, the governor talked about the state's bid to host the luge, skeleton, and bobsledding events for the upcoming 2026 Winter Olympics here at Mount Van Hoevenberg. The International Olympic Committee is expected to decide in the next week or two if those events will be moved out of Italy, the host country, and held instead in Austria, Switzerland, or here in the United States, in Lake Placid. Both the governor and ORDA CEO say they are hopeful that New York's bid is being considered.
And I'm excited about it. So you're right, this is a short-term decision for the next Olympics. We also keep our eye on possibilities for longer-term Olympic venues and opportunities. So we don't know the answer yet, but I hope to hear in the next few months.
And we hope that by the end of the month, they will select an alternate location. We are very much hoping that, and you heard from the governor today that she's supportive of this, that they will select Lake Placid and we can have a third edition of the Olympics here.
And during her visit to Mount Van Hoevenberg, the governor also announced that the state is going to tap into the $4 billion Environmental Bond Act that voters across New York approved in the fall of 2022 to fund the continued construction of the 34-mile Adirondack Rail Trail, running from Lake Placid to Saranac Lake and then eventually on to Tupper Lake. During her budget rollout, the governor talked about the need for more mental health services for clinics in schools and in rural areas like Essex County, where the governor says there's one mental health care provider for every 600 people.
It's so critical in rural areas. Rural areas can so often be healthcare deserts, every kind of services you need. But the number of providers who are professionally trained to assist people with their mental health challenges, the number here in the North Country is paltry. We just don't have enough people. So we have to keep focusing on this. In Essex County, for example, there's one mental health care provider for every 600 people. That doesn't get you a healthy population. I'm here to tell them that help is on the way. We're investing more money in mental health in the state than ever in history. $4.8 billion, which is a 45% increase. That's extraordinary. But it's finally saying we know there's a problem, we're going to recognize it.
Hochul says her budget will also direct $25 million to the North Country to help pay for harm reduction and treatment programs for opioid addiction.
The opioid epidemic has ravaged our rural communities. I don't know a single family that doesn't know somebody or touched by somebody in their kid's school that has endured the pain and anguish of losing a loved one, myself included. No one's immune from this, no matter where you live or where you come from. And we started distributing $200 million for the opioid settlement fund, and we're going to get $67 million out of it for all these programs. I've dedicated $25 million of that $67 million to the North Country, because this area has been underserved for too long, and that has to stop right now.
And the governor talked about the need for more housing in the North Country, saying her budget includes $500 million to build 15,000 units on state-owned properties and former prisons, like the Mariah Shock facility that was closed just 2 years ago. Hochul's revamp housing plan also includes $650 million in incentives to get more communities to buy into building more housing.
We have great jobs and opportunities here. And now we don't have enough workers. One of the reasons we don't have enough workers here in the North Country is where are they supposed to live? The employers are begging for them. People want to work, but if you don't build some housing for them, they will not drive an hour and a half or 2 hours to come from affordable housing to work at a minimum wage job in the North Country. It just doesn't work.
And after her presentation, the governor was asked by reporters about the wording in her budget that would allow her to close up to 5 more state prisons.
We just have to look at the bigger picture, that in 1999, we had a prison population of about 73,000. Last year, it was down to 33,000, and that's statewide. Of the 44 prisons in the state, 11 are in the North Country. So when they close, based on population of the prisons, it does have an impact on the community. I want people to know I understand that. And that's why the ones we've closed already, we're working really hard with the local communities to reimagine those properties. It takes money and time to figure it out, but I'm committed to doing that.
In fact, the governor said she's talking to town supervisors in communities where prisons were closed just a couple of years ago about using those sites to build badly needed new housing.